in almost a century, the Cabinet has met in Scotland. The last time it happened was in 1921. And top of the agenda today was the economy, as our political correspondent Laura Kuenssberg reports.
Job losses were at the top of the political priority list. Not 2009, but 1921. The last time the UK Cabinet gathered in Scotland, led by Prime Minister Lloyd George. His government fell apart just a year later, a fate Gordon Brown wants to avoid. So he was here to talk about the economy and his belief that Scotland and the rest of the UK are better off together.
I think that the key thing we've got to do is create more jobs, and what we are about is doing everything in our power to help people get back into work.
His cabinet were all present and correct, but some of the ministers round the table were in a country where they have no say. Jack Straw, the Justice Minister, has no control over Scottish law, nor do his colleagues Alan Johnson or Ed Balls control Scotland's hospitals or schools. Nearly 90 years since the last cabinet here, jobs again are top of the agenda. But in the 21st century, Westminster politicians have to work with the Scottish Government in Edinburgh, and a big gathering here will hardly remove the long-felt tensions between the two. The SNP says the slowdown in UK spending will mean cuts in the Scottish budget. They argue that the Edinburgh government should be able to borrow money, and Westminster is trying to persuade the SNP to reboot Scottish nuclear power.
I take very seriously the Scottish Executive's commitment to climate change, and we work with them on those issues. This is just a disagreement about the route to tackle climate change, and I think it's also a disagreement about moving on, changing your thinking in response to changing circumstances, the challenge of climate change being so great.
Our issue is how we're going to export the surplus power we get. We don't have to take the dangerous nuclear road, and perhaps a bit more understanding of what the real issues are in Scotland would enable the Climate Change Secretary not to come up to Scotland and start lecturing us on what our energy policy should be.
Taking the Westminster Cabinet on the road won't smooth Mr Brown's bumpy political journey. Laura Kuenssberg, BBC News, Glasgow.
700 million